The ocean is silent. 12,000 feet below the surface, sunlight fades into eternal darkness. Here, in the cold grip of the Atlantic, lies a kingdom frozen in time, a world once filled with laughter, music, and glittering chandeliers. Now, it sleeps beneath the crushing weight of the sea. And today, that silence is about to be broken. A small submersible hums its way down through the pitch-black waters. Inside, a team of explorers watches the sonar screen flicker with anticipation. Their mission is clear: to uncover the forgotten luxury of Titanic's first-class section, a place where the world's richest once dined, danced, and dreamed. Depth: 11,900 feet. The pilot's voice trembles slightly. Approaching the wreck. No one speaks. Every heart in that metal capsule beats faster, because what they are about to see is not just a wreck, it's a ghost frozen in time. Then, out of the dark, the shape begins to appear. At first, just shadows. Then, the unmistakable silhouette of Titanic's bow, rising like a mountain from the ocean floor. Floodlights cut through the darkness, revealing the corroded iron, the broken railings, and the gaping holes carved by time. And yet, beneath all the rust and ruin, there's something hauntingly majestic. "This is it," whispers one of the explorers, "the ship of dreams." But this mission isn't about the ship's exterior. Their target lies deeper inside, the first-class area, the most opulent space ever built on the sea, where royalty, millionaires, and dreamers once walked. The sub glides closer. A robotic arm brushes aside a curtain of silt, and there it is. An ornate brass gate, still standing after more than a century. A faint inscription reads, "First Class Entrance." Once, this gate opened to a world of elegance. Marble floors polished to a mirror shine, golden light spilling from chandeliers, the soft echo of violins drifting through the corridors. Now, only shadows remain. The robotic camera moves through the gate, entering the first-class corridor. The light cuts across the walls, patterns of flowers and vines carved in wood still visible beneath layers of rust and coral. The floor is buried in sand and debris, but beneath it, faint marble lines still glimmer. For a moment, the explorers say nothing. They just stare, as if the past is breathing right in front of them. Then one of them whispers, "We're inside, the forgotten world." The camera pans across the corridor. A small plaque appears, half buried in silt, "Promenade deck, first class only." The robotic arm clears away the dust, revealing a faint name engraved below, J. J. Astor. John Jacob Astor IV, one of the richest men aboard Titanic. His suite once stood right here. The explorers exchange glances. They know this isn't just history. It's a glimpse into lives that once believed they were untouchable. As the sub turns the corner, the beam of light catches something massive. The remains of the grand staircase. Even in ruin, it takes their breath away. Once, this staircase was the crown jewel of Titanic, the heart of its luxury. Guests descended it in glittering gowns and black tuxedos, bathed in golden light. Now it lies in pieces, twisted iron, broken wood, the glass dome above shattered into 1,000 shards scattered across the seabed. And yet, when the camera lingers on the curve of the railings, there's still beauty there. The ghost of grace, refusing to fade. One explorer murmurs, "Even death couldn't destroy its elegance." A moment of silence fills the cabin. Only the distant hum of the sub's engines breaks through the darkness. They move deeper. The next door bears an almost invisible inscription, "First Class Lounge." The robotic arm pushes the door open, and the beam of light falls on something extraordinary. Tables still stand in place. Chairs lie toppled, yet some remain upright, as if waiting for their guests to return. A crystal wine bottle sits on one of the tables, still sealed. The label reads White Star Line, 1912. The explorers freeze. One of them whispers, "It's untouched." The room is covered in a soft layer of marine dust, like a blanket of time. Delicate carvings on the wooden walls have turned green with age, and yet their detail remains perfect. Flowers, vines, leaves, like nature reclaiming luxury. In the corner stands a mirror. Its glass is cracked, but its silver frame still gleams faintly in the light. For a second, the camera catches a reflection, a shape, a movement, but it's gone as quickly as it appeared. No one says a word. For the first time, they feel it, as if the ship itself is watching them. Then a sharp beep breaks the silence, a sonar warning. Pressure is rising. They don't have much time left. 5 minutes, the voice from the surface commands. But the explorers can't leave yet. They've come too far, and something inside this sunken palace still calls to them. The camera glides toward another door. The words etched above are faint, but readable. First Class Dining Saloon. The robotic arm pushes, the door resists, then bursts open with a metallic crack. The light sweeps across the room. What they see steals their breath. Rows of tables stretch across the vast space. Fine china plates still rest where they were left, their edges glinting faintly beneath the silt. The chandelier chains hang from the ceiling, swinging gently in the underwater current. In the corner, a piano, half buried in sand, coral growing across its keys. And on one of the tables lies a small jewelry box, its gold edges still shining faintly. The robotic arm reaches forward and clears the debris. Inside, perfectly preserved pearls glisten in the light. A small rusted tag reads, Countess of Rothes. She never got it back, one explorer whispers. The submersible's lights flicker again. A low creak echoes through the ship, the haunting sound of shifting metal. It feels like the Titanic is breathing, whispering its story from beneath the sea. Time to ascend, the command crackles through the speaker. The sub slowly backs away, drifting upward through the darkness. The camera lingers one last time on the grand dining room, the chandeliers, the pearls, the piano, and for a fleeting second, the explorers hear something that chills them to the bone, a faint, metallic clink echoing through the halls, like the sound of a glass being raised for a toast. As they ascend, the voice of the narrator breaks the silence. Once, this place was the heart of elegance. Now, it lies buried in the arms of the ocean, a silent witness to human ambition and tragedy. The luxury may be gone, but its spirit still breathes beneath the sea. The screen fades to black. Echoes of elegance. The descent continues. The submersible's lights cut through the thick black ocean like twin blades. As it drifts lower, the Titanic's massive shadow looms once again, stretching endlessly across the seabed, its hull broken, but its spirit unshaken. Inside the capsule, the explorers are silent. The radio crackles with static. They've returned for one reason: to explore what lies beyond the first-class corridor, the suites of the world's richest passengers still waiting in the cold darkness. Entering the residential section, the pilot whispers. Outside, the water glows faintly in the sub's lights. Ahead, an open hatch leads into what once was B-deck, the level reserved for first-class cabins and suites, the most luxurious accommodations ever to sail the sea. As the sub glides forward, the camera captures the walls, once covered in polished mahogany and gold inlays, now draped in seaweed and coral. A carved panel still bears the faded letters, Private Suites, First Class Only. Inside, silence reigns, and yet every broken doorway seems to whisper memories. The faint laughter of guests, the rustle of silk gowns, the soft notes of a waltz echoing down the corridors of time. The robotic camera enters the first room. This was once the suite of Benjamin Guggenheim, the American mining tycoon. He was one of the wealthiest men aboard Titanic and one of the most dignified in death. Survivors later recalled seeing him dressed in his finest suit as the ship went down, saying, "We've dressed up in our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." Now, more than a century later, his suite lies in ruin. The walls have collapsed inward, the furniture scattered like bones. And yet, on the floor, half buried in silt, lies a silver cigarette case, its surface engraved with initials. BG, the explorer's frieze. It's a relic of a man who faced death with grace, now resting quietly in the deep. The camera pans upward. The wallpaper, once deep crimson, is now faded to a ghostly pink, eaten away by time. Fragments of a mirror cling to the wall, and for a moment, the explorers see their reflection, blurred, distorted, like faces from another world staring back. Then, one of them whispers, "We shouldn't be here too long. The structure's unstable." But the lead diver's voice answers quietly, "Not yet. There's more." They move deeper into the hallway. The light flickers across more doors, each one leading to stories lost in the cold depths of history. Another plaque appears. Suite B52, John Jacob Astor 4. Astor's suite was the grandest aboard Titanic, a private apartment complete with a sitting room, bedroom, and private promenade deck. It was designed to rival the finest hotels in Europe. The camera pushes through the broken door, and there it is, the remains of a fireplace. It's marble, cracked but still recognizable. Beside it, a faint outline of a sofa. The walls are lined with carved wood panels, now coated with marine growth. But the true treasure lies on the floor, a gold-handled walking cane, half buried in sand. The explorers watch in silence as the robotic arm brushes the silt away. A small engraving shines through the dust, JJA. The pilot exhales. It's his Astor's cane. For a moment, the camera lingers on it. A simple object, yet powerful enough to bring back the ghost of a man who once walked these halls with pride. Suddenly, a faint metallic groan echoes through the chamber. The walls creak under the pressure. Tiny particles of rust drift down like snowflakes. The Titanic is shifting. "Careful," one voice says. "Hold position. Don't touch anything else." But something in the shadows catches the light, a door slightly ajar. "Go closer," the lead explorer instructs. The sub edges forward and the camera peers inside. It's a bedroom, small, elegant, untouched. The bed frame is still intact, though the mattress has long dissolved. Beside it, a nightstand, and on it, a framed photograph. The glass is cracked, but the image inside still visible, a young woman smiling faintly, wearing pearls around her neck. A voice in the cabin whispers, "That's Madeline Astor. She was only 19 when they sailed." Silence fills the sub. In that moment, it feels as if time itself pauses. A glimpse of love, frozen in the deep. The sub drifts back. The lights sweep across the suite once more, catching fragments of gold paint and marble. The faint shimmer of the once grand world now sleeping beneath layers of darkness. Then they move on. Deeper into the wreck, the walls narrow. The map shows they're approaching the first-class reading and writing room, a space reserved exclusively for wealthy women, where they read letters, wrote journals, and sipped tea as the ocean stretched endlessly outside. The robotic camera enters the room, and what they find is hauntingly beautiful. A single chair still stands upright, its fabric long gone but its carved legs untouched. Beside it lies a fountain pen, its nib still glinting faintly in the light. A sheet of paper rests beneath it, dissolved except for one faint word: love. The explorers don't speak. They know this isn't just history. It's emotion, preserved by the sea. The pilot whispers, "It's like the ocean kept it all safe." The camera pans across the room, revealing shelves covered in coral and a window, shattered, but still framing the endless blue void outside. A shoal of small fish glides past, their scales reflecting the sub's lights, as if life itself refuses to let this place die completely. The narrator's voice breaks the silence. In these rooms once echoed laughter, love, and dreams. The world's elite, gathered here, believing nothing could touch them, not fate, not nature, not the sea. But the ocean remembers, and in its depths their luxury still whispers, untouched by time. Then, without warning, a deep rumble shakes the wreck. Dust explodes into the water, clouding the camera's view. The hull groans, a sound that feels alive, ancient, almost human. Pull back now." The sub reverses, lights flickering as they retreat from the collapsing corridor. For a moment, it feels as if the Titanic itself is protesting their intrusion, as if the ship doesn't want to let its secrets go. Finally, the pressure stabilizes. The view clears. Through the swirling dust, the camera catches one last glimpse. The silhouette of the grand staircase, glowing faintly through the water, bathed in a golden haze of silt. It's haunting, beautiful, timeless. As the sub turns away, the narrator speaks once more. "Every inch of this ship tells a story, of pride and loss, of elegance and tragedy. These were not just rooms. They were dreams carved in wood and gold. And now, they sleep beneath the sea, whispering to those brave enough to listen." The sub begins its slow ascent, leaving behind the silent grandeur of the first-class suites. Up above, the ocean swallows the light again, erasing every trace of the explorer's presence. But down below, in the dark, something stirs. A door creaks. A piece of metal falls. And for just a moment, in the blackness of the Atlantic, it feels like Titanic is still alive. Fade to black. The grand staircase and the ghosts of time. The sea is silent again, but beneath its stillness, the Titanic waits, vast, broken, and eternal. The submersible drifts down once more, its lights glowing like distant stars in the ocean's endless night. For the third time, the explorers approach the wreck. This time, their mission is to reach the lower levels of the grand staircase, the beating heart of Titanic's luxury, and perhaps the most haunting place ever captured by human eyes. The pilot steadies the controls. "Entering the central lobby," he whispers. Outside the thick glass dome, the camera reveals a corridor that opens into a grand space, wide, tall, and shrouded in darkness. And then, as the floodlights rise, the grand staircase comes into view. It's breathtaking, even in ruin. The great staircase once gleamed with oak carvings, golden balustrades, and a crystal dome that bathed the hall in light. Now, that same dome lies shattered, its shards scattered like fallen stars across the seabed. And yet, the shape of the staircase remains. Its sweeping curves still elegant, its spirit still proud. The camera glides downward, tracing the steps once polished daily by servants, once touched by royalty and the world's elite. The explorers speak softly, as if afraid to disturb something sacred. "This was where everyone wanted to be seen," one voice says. Every evening, passengers descended these stairs like characters in a royal ball. The light catches something. A fragment of the carved clock that once crowned the staircase. It bears the faint outline of two winged figures holding a wreath. In the days of glory, that clock was known as the honor and glory crowning time. Now, time itself has stopped here. Beneath the clock, the landing is buried in silt, but faint shapes are visible, twisted railings, collapsed floors, and what looks like shoes. Small leather shoes. A pair side by side, untouched for more than a century. The camera lingers. A whisper breaks the silence. Someone took them off before the end. The light moves again, illuminating the lower deck doors. One bears a sign, barely legible, reception room. It was once a place of elegance, where passengers gathered after dinner, listening to the soft notes of a grand piano. Now it's a graveyard of furniture and decay. The sub moves closer. Inside, the room is scattered with fragments of chairs, tables, and broken glass. The wooden walls are alive with sea life, coral twisting around gold trim, sponges blooming where chandeliers once hung. And yet, amidst the ruin, there's still beauty. The marble floor, though cracked and buried, reflects faint light. The chandeliers remain still glitter, swaying gently in the ocean current. The narrator's voice echoes softly. It's as if the sea refused to destroy it completely. As if the Titanic's grandeur was too proud to fade. The sub's camera focuses on a small object lying near the corner, a music sheet sealed inside a frame of glass. The paper is torn and faded, but a few words can still be read. Nearer, my God, to thee. The explorers fall silent. That hymn was played by Titanic's band in its final moments, and here, at the bottom of the sea, its title still lies among the wreckage, a message frozen in time. The pilot whispers, "It's like the ship remembers." They descend lower, beneath the grand staircase, into the first-class Turkish baths, one of Titanic's rarest and most luxurious features. The door opens into darkness. The camera's light sweeps through the room, and what appears is almost surreal. The floor mosaics are still visible, tiny tiles forming patterns of blue and gold. Brass fittings shimmer faintly under the sediment. The outlines of marble benches, ornate pillars, and a domed ceiling can still be seen through the haze. "It's incredible," the lead diver breathes. "It looks almost alive." In the far corner, a tiled basin stands filled with silt, and beside it, a pair of slippers, small and delicate, still resting neatly side by side, as if their owner had stepped away and never returned. For a moment, nobody speaks. Only the hum of the sub's engines fills the silence. Then, from the distance, the sonar emits a faint ping, something metallic shifting deep within the wreck. The sound echoes like a heartbeat. The camera turns back toward the corridor. The floorboards creak. A fine mist of rust rises, as if the ship just exhaled. The narrator whispers, "For more than a century, the Titanic has slept beneath miles of water, but it seems she still breathes, still remembers." As the sub drifts upward again, the camera passes by what was once the first-class smoking room. Here, gentlemen once sat in leather chairs, smoking cigars and discussing the future. Business, politics, empires. The room now lies shattered, but the heavy oak panels still cling to the walls. A crystal ashtray rests on a table, filled not with ashes, but with sand and coral, and there, a deck of cards, scattered across the floor, their faces long faded. One card, half visible, reads "The King of Hearts." The explorers exchange glances. The symbolism isn't lost on them. A final, ironic reminder of the Titanic's world, power, pride, and the illusion of control. Suddenly, the lights flicker again. A deep moan travels through the hull, a sound ancient and human. "Pressure's changing. We need to move," the pilot warns. But before they ascend, the camera turns one last time toward the grand staircase. Through the haze of silt, the faint outline of the clock is still visible. the carved figures half buried, yet unbroken. And for just a moment, as the lights catch the brass railings, it almost feels like the staircase comes alive, golden, glowing as it once was. You can almost hear the violins, the chatter of guests, the laughter of a world that never thought it could sink. Then, darkness. The lights fade. The vision disappears, replaced by the cold truth of the sea. The narrator's voice closes softly. Here, beneath the waves, time stands still. The grand staircase, once the symbol of progress and pride, now lies silent, a monument to beauty and a warning carved in rust. The sea took everything, except the memory of what it once was. The sub begins its slow rise toward the surface, lights dimming as it leaves the Titanic behind once more. Above, the world moves on. Below, the ship of dreams sleeps, elegant, eternal, and unforgotten. Fade to black, the hidden corridors. The ocean is eternal, and within its silence the Titanic still sleeps, vast, broken, and beautiful. The submersible returns once more, its lights piercing the cold darkness like ghostly lanterns. This time, the explorers are not heading for the grand halls or the famous staircase. They are going deeper, behind the walls, into the hidden corridors where no passenger ever walked, but where the real heartbeat of the Titanic once lived. Entering service deck, the pilot whispers. Outside, the camera captures a narrow passageway, half collapsed and filled with drifting silt. This was where the stewards, butlers, and maids moved silently behind the scenes, ensuring that the elite above never saw the machinery of their luxury. Now, everything is frozen in eerie stillness. The walls are lined with hooks, where uniforms once hung, where trays once gleamed. Rust has eaten through the steel. Coral blooms from the cracks. A silver tray lies upside down in the mud, its edges still engraved with the white star line insignia. For a moment, the explorers just stare. It's not the gold or jewelry that moves them. It's this silent trace of work, the invisible life that once kept Titanic's perfection alive. The camera drifts forward through the narrow corridor. A faint light catches a sign, its letters barely legible. First-class service pantry. The robotic arm pushes open a door, and the beam sweeps through the darkness. Inside, dishes lie scattered across the floor, some still stacked neatly as if waiting for dinner service that never came. A crystal decanter, unbelievably intact, rests on a counter, still shimmering in the faint light. Beneath it, a menu card, preserved under layers of dust and glass. The explorers zoom in. The words are faded, but readable. April 14th, 1912, first-class dinner. And beneath it, the list of delicacies: oysters, consommé Olga, filet mignon, roast duckling, and Waldorf pudding. One of the explorers whispers, "The last meal they ever served." The silence deepens. It's not just a room. It's a frozen moment, a whisper of life before tragedy. The camera pans across the room again. Something catches the light. A servant's bell panel still attached to the wall. Each small brass button labeled with a room number, B52, B54, C68, the same numbers from the first-class suites. One light, unbelievably, still glows faintly red. A trick of reflection, perhaps, or something else. For a second, everyone in the sub holds their breath. The narrator's voice drops to a whisper, a call that was never answered, echoing through a century of silence. The sub moves deeper through the service corridor, turning into another narrow passage. The walls twist inward, covered in marine life, yet the structure remains hauntingly symmetrical, as if the ship's design still fights against decay. Ahead, a small door stands ajar. The camera moves closer. A brass tag reads, "Chief Steward's Office." Inside, everything is chaos. Drawers hang open, papers float weightlessly in the water, dissolving into nothingness. But one object catches the light, a leather-bound book, wedged beneath a broken chair. The robotic arm reaches forward and lifts it gently. The cover flakes away, but inside, the ink has survived, preserved by the cold. It's a ledger, a record of passengers and cabin requests. The names read like legends: Astor, Guggenheim, Widner, Duff Gordon. Requests: fresh flowers, extra linens, breakfast in bed, warm baths. The explorers turn a page. The last entry stops abruptly, the handwriting unfinished. April 14, 1912, 11:40 p.m. The ink trails off mid-word. It was the exact moment the Titanic struck the iceberg. A chill fills the sub. The narrator whispers, "Here, in this frozen ledger, time stopped. In this book, the line between luxury and death was written and never finished." The explorers continue through the passage, turning into the first-class mailroom, a space rarely seen by the public. Bags of letters still lie piled against the wall, their canvas rotted away, but inside, small envelopes remain sealed. The ink has faded, but some names still stand out. To my dearest wife, to my son in New York, for delivery upon arrival. Letters that never reach their destination. A voice in the sub trembles. Each one is a story trapped underwater. The camera focuses on a single envelope, its wax seal still intact. The insignia, the Astor family crest. The explorers can hardly speak. They know they're staring at a message written by a man who never saw land again. The sub moves farther down the corridor, past twisted pipes and debris, until the walls open into a large chamber, one that few ever expected to find intact. It's the first-class luggage room. Rows of iron racks stretch across the space, their contents long buried under silt. But the floodlights reveal shapes beneath the mud: trunks, leather bags, cases. One trunk, half open, gleams faintly with brass fittings. The robotic arm clears away the sediment. Inside lies a collection of women's accessories: a hand mirror, a pearl comb, silk gloves. The mirror's surface is tarnished, but when the light hits it, it flashes, almost like an eye-opening. For a second, the reflection reveals the outline of the explorers' faces. But behind them, in the darkness, something else moves. A shadow, shapeless, gone in an instant. No one says a word, but everyone feels it, as if the ship itself is alive, aware, guarding its memories. The narrator's voice returns, soft and haunting. Behind every wall of beauty, there are hidden hands, silent steps, and unseen lives. The Titanic's luxury was not just in what the world saw, but in what it hid. And even now, those secrets linger in the corridors where no light should reach. The sub's pressure alarm beeps. The pilot turns the controls. "We're nearing the structural limits. We need to ascend." But before they leave, the camera catches one final glimpse. The luggage room bathed in soft light, dust swirling like golden smoke, shadows bending across forgotten treasures. As the sub rises through the dark water, the Titanic fades once again into the black abyss. Only the echoes remain, the faint glimmer of chandeliers long gone, the whispers of unseen footsteps, the lingering hum of life that refuses to die. The narrator closes the scene. The first-class world was built on elegance and illusion, a dream crafted in gold and silence. And though the sea has claimed its walls, its echoes still travel through time, whispering secrets to those who dare to listen. The lights fade. The ocean consumes everything once more. Fade to black. The submersible drifts silently through the black abyss. The beams of light slice through curtains of silt as though cutting through time itself. Far below, the wreck of the Titanic looms, vast and ghost-like, her twisted hull glowing faintly in the darkness. The narrator's voice returns, low and calm. For over a century, she has slept in silence. But her secrets are not gone, only waiting. The explorers have one last destination, the first-class Turkish baths, and beyond them, the swimming pool, both sealed off by collapse, untouched since the night the ship vanished beneath the waves. The sub's mechanical arms push gently against fallen beams, clearing a path. Fragments of gold-painted tiles shimmer faintly under the floodlights. The camera drifts inside, and the explorers gasp. Even after all these years, beauty still lives here. Mosaic tiles line the walls, blue, gold, emerald green, the same patterns once admired by the world's richest passengers. Columns rise from the floor like pillars in a lost temple. The once warm waters are gone, replaced by the icy breath of the Atlantic. And then, there it is, the swimming pool of the Titanic, empty, cold, but still perfectly intact. The light sweeps across its curved edge, revealing ornate handrails, marble steps, and the faint shadow of the word "Ladies" engraved above a doorway. Every tile tells a story, of laughter, of footsteps, of life that ended too soon. One of the explorers whispers, "It looks alive." The narrator continues softly. Here, the elite swam beneath the glow of electric light, a marvel of 1912. They floated in warm, salt water, unaware that soon another sea would claim them forever. The camera glides across the floor. Something small lies half buried in the silt, a golden locket. The robotic arm lifts it gently. Inside, a photograph, miraculously preserved, shows a woman and a child, frozen in eternal smiles. No name, no story, just faces staring back from another world. The sub remains still. Even the sea seems to hold its breath. The narrator whispers, "Every relic here was once touched by life. Every shadow, once cast by someone who believed they would see the morning." The light pans further along the room. Near the pool's edge, the explorers find a doorway leading to a collapsed passage. It takes several minutes to maneuver through. Beyond it lies something no one expected, a sealed chamber hidden from the maps. The door bears a sign, Private Bath Suite A36. The explorers exchange looks. This was the private Turkish bath suite used only by the most elite, reserved for passengers of the highest rank. The robotic arm pushes the door open. It creaks. A swirl of silt clouds the water. And then, slowly, the room comes into view. Inside, everything is still. A small circular pool, surrounded by marble, benches. A broken perfume bottle rests near the edge. A mirror, cracked but intact, still reflects the light. For a moment, the explorers see themselves, and behind them, just for a heartbeat, the faint outline of a man, standing, watching. Then, gone. No one speaks. The silence feels alive. The narrator's tone grows deeper, slower. The ocean remembers. Every ship that sinks becomes part of its memory. But the Titanic was different. She did not die quietly. She took with her the laughter, the songs, the perfume of an age, and locked them here, beneath the sea. The sub's sensors flicker. Pressure is increasing. The pilot warns they must begin ascent. But before they turn back, one last thing catches the camera's eye. A doorway behind the bath, almost invisible, hidden by coral and time. The robotic arm brushes away the sediment, and the words appear, "First-class vault." The explorers stare in disbelief. The existence of such a room was only rumor, a vault said to store jewelry, gold, and personal safes belonging to the wealthiest aboard. They clear the entrance and push the hatch. It opens with a slow metallic groan, as though the ship itself sighs. Inside, The walls are lined with small steel boxes. Some burst open, others still sealed. The sub's light catches on something glittering in the dark, a pearl necklace, perfectly preserved. Beside it, a pocket watch, stopped forever at 2:20 a.m., the exact moment the Titanic disappeared beneath the ocean. The narrator's voice drops to a whisper. Time stopped when she fell, but her story did not. The explorers can go no further. The pressure alarm begins to scream. As they turn the sub around, one of them looks back, and through the camera feed, a faint shimmer crosses the screen. The pool, the vault, the corridors, all begin to fade into a cloud of drifting silt. It's as if the ship itself is pulling her secrets back into the dark. And then, just before the lights fade completely, the camera catches something on the wall. Words, carved faintly into the metal, barely visible, but real. We lived in beauty. We died in silence. The voice of the narrator breaks the silence. The Titanic was more than steel and rivets. She was a monument to human ambition and a grave for human fragility. Her first-class world, once shining with chandeliers and laughter, now sleeps in darkness. Yet in that silence her beauty endures. Her story breathes beneath the sea. The sub rises slowly toward the surface. Above, faint light filters through the waves, the first sunlight the explorers have seen in hours. As they ascend, the narrator gives one final reflection: luxury and loss, pride and tragedy. The Titanic carried them all, and though the sea took her body, it could never drown her legend. The camera looks down one last time. Far below, the Titanic lies silent once more, her grand staircase buried, her chandeliers dimmed, her secrets sealed forever. But in that darkness, she is not forgotten. Fade to black. Text appears. In the deep, the past never truly dies. It only sleeps, waiting to be remembered.